Welcome back, guys, to the Apostle Paul's television channel. This is episode 35. I'm Breck. Thanks for joining me. I want to ask you guys a question. Do you ever come across things in your community or in your family, or do you ever hear something on the news or read about something and you say to yourself, if I only had unlimited resources, I would do something about that? I want to share a powerful declaration of God with you today. I want to also share with you something so simple that you could teach a 5-year-old. And I believe that it is the answer for poverty. I believe it's the difference between the wealthy and those that are in poverty. I want to share that with you today. Just some simple things that you can practically apply that can help change your life. And it's interesting, if you haven't gone back, if you haven't listened to my last video, The Power of the Seed, I encourage you to do so. Whenever you start to talk about this powerful declaration of God, especially in the area that we're talking about increasing and multiplying, there's always adversity. And I'll tell you this, wherever religion is, wherever Christianity is, being connected and occupying that always results in poverty, lack, and sickness. That's important to hear that. Nothing is just happening to anybody. The universal principle in all creation is that of cause and effect. I want to share with you in Genesis. Turn with me to Genesis. I want to share a powerful declaration with you. In Genesis 1, chapter 28, it says, Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase. Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Fill the earth and subdue it. So, we're going to look at something really, really simple today. I want to share something now with you that I believe you could teach to a 5-year-old, and I believe that if people started to learn the simple principles and the power of the seed, it would change their life. So, I want to share right now about the difference of what a wealthy man does with an apple and what a man of poverty does with an apple. And you know what? The one that's in poverty, a lot of times they're in poverty because of ignorance. So I just want to share that a man that is wealthy and a man that is impoverished do two different things with an apple. And this is the simple thing that you can share with a 5-year-old. So you give an apple to a wealthy man, you give an apple to a poor man. They both eat the apple. Although the wealthy man knows something and does something and recognizes something that the poor man doesn't. So they both eat their apple, and they both get fulfilled by the apple. And after eating the apple, there's the core. The poor man throws the core away. And the wealthy man says, there has to be a specific way that this apple came forth. Let's see. It's revealed actually in the parable of the sower. The way that all things come forth. There is the source and there is the way. The interesting thing is that the wealthy man, when he gets done with the apple, says, I recognize that something produced the apple and it's inside. And I don't know if you can see that or not. He knows that the way of multiplication is that in the power of the seed. So he says, if I want more apples, all I need to do is just follow the process, which is the same way that he received the apple that he ate. He knows the way of things, and he says, I'm going to take this seed and I'm going to sow it in the ground, and it's going to produce after its kind. It has to produce after its kind. Every seed produces after its kind. So he sows the seed, and before you know it, he's got an apple tree, and he's got much more than just one apple. He's got a tree full of apples. And so what he does is he picks the apples, makes applesauce, apple pies, eats apples, takes them into the community and sells them. But he recognized the greatest value is the seed. So he sows more seeds, and before you know it, he has a harvest. He has this huge field full of apple trees because he started with one seed, and the power of the seed causes all things to multiply. But what the poor man didn't know is that he threw away the most important part. He consumed the apple, but in reality he also consumed the seed because he didn't sow it. He didn't invest it. He didn't plant it in a fertile place where it can multiply. And so the things that come into your hand, if you consume them and you don't invest them or sow them into another, how can they multiply? There's so many people out there right now that they say, I wish I had unlimited resources. I would do this, this, or this. How can you have more if you don't sow the seed? There's a place right now that is an extremely fertile field. It's actually a place where the greatest transfer of wealth is happening right now. And what if you could take your seeds and sow them in that field? So I hope from this you'll see the simple way of things is that it's in the power of the seed. You know, the parable of the sower, my mentor told me, is a master key. And so God is the farmer, and his word, who is Christ, is the seed that he has sown in all creation. And you think about us, well, we're soil, but we have this seed inside of us, and all the things that God has given us are meant to multiply. And he is the source, and the seed is the way. So I share this with you because if you understand the way of investment and multiplication starts with the sowing of the seed, you can start to see what comes into your hand differently. And my hope is that you won't consume all your seed, but you'll start to take it. And if you have children who are, maybe they work at McDonald's and they make minimum wage, but you know that it doesn't matter, they're not restricted by that. If they realize that the seeds in their hands can multiply, they just need to know where to place them. And every place isn't the same. Where you sow your seed is important because there are places that multiply and there are places aren't. What's a good example of that? If you want to have a family, all animals, human beings, they know where to sow their seed in order to multiply. There is no multiplication without the seed. Look outside, look at the trees, look at everything. It was all the result of one seed, but that seed had to be sown. Thanks for joining me on the Apostle Paul's television channel. We'll see you next time. Don't forget the most important thing. Don't consume your seed. Sow it and watch God give it the increase. See you next time on the Apostle Paul's television channel. Thanks for joining me.